It's the Wednesday Wisdom Show, and you need to know, what do coincidences really mean? Everybody's had experiences like this. You're thinking about a friend and they call you. Or you run into them on the street. Or you're thinking, man, I would really like to have some stir fry. And then you go home and you find out your mom is making stir fry. What's the definition of a coincidence? And I'm looking at the definition here because this is the consensus about what a coincidence means. You know, how we define the unusual irregularity of this miraculous experience that we have, the one that just really makes us deeply question what's going on. The definition is a remarkable occurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connections, as in they met by coincidence. The synonyms are accident, chance, serendipity, fate, a twist of fate, destiny, fortuity, fortune, providence, freak. So, what does that point to? The way we normally think is we think in a cause and effect mode, in which we clearly see what started an action that got us a reaction, or what impulse happened that ended up in a connection, that if we want something and we move towards that thing, that it eventually will connect to that other point that we want to connect to. But here, what the agreed on definition is that there is a motion of connections that you could never have guessed. You can't see what direction cause and effect is moving. But there are things that are even more complex than just cause and effect. They also completely wipe away our ideas about time and place. Like this coincidence, this is a complex one. In 1805, the French writer Émile Deschamps was introduced to plum pudding by somebody he didn't know, a stranger, and the stranger's name was Kabu. And 10 years later, he saw plum pudding on a menu in a restaurant in Paris, and he wanted to order some, but the waiter told him that the dish had already been served, the last piece, to another customer, who turned out to be Kabu. Okay, hold on. And then, many years later, he was at a dinner with friends, and once again he saw that there was a plum pudding on the menu, and he told his friends about this earlier, and they served it to him. He told his friends about the earlier incident, and that the only thing that was missing to make the moment perfect was Kabu. And at the very instant that he was saying that, Kabu entered the room. So now, why would these things be connected? Why is plum pudding and Kabu and Émile Deschamps always connected? Why do they always come together, regardless of time and place, prearrangement, or any kind of intention on the part of Deschamps? So if we want to understand what a coincidence means, the very fact of coincidence, what it means, we need to look at our response to it. What happens when we're faced with this kind of connection between things that is normally hidden from us? There is this sense of order that goes beyond the normal connections in life. And our response is a response of awe. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And what's very interesting about coincidence is that It doesn't matter if it's a positive or a negative. We are more moved by the fact that there were these irregular and yet perfect connections between things that should not be connected. And in that there is a feeling of an intelligence that connects everything, and a kind of conveyance, an expression of meaning, but we can't grasp the meaning. It's actually deeper than meaning. So when we ask the question, what does a coincidence mean? We need to go to the root even of meaning to begin to touch on this. It really has to do with purpose. But here's where that definition of coincidence sort of betrays the whole misunderstanding and points to the deeper purpose. The definition says that it is an accident, that it's chance, that it is unusual, that it shouldn't be happening like this. I'll give you another example because I think this is funny. I was watching my cat and I was trying to learn how to communicate better with the cat, because you can't train cats, but they seem to respond to certain things. So I noticed that it seemed to me that you could sort of place an idea in a cat. Like you could picture something in your mind and that somehow the cat would sense it, kind of sense the whole thing, get on the wavelength with you, and would be open to it or would respond to it. So I had been thinking about this and I decided, well, I'm going to do an experiment. So I was looking at my cat and I started picturing that I would go upstairs and I would lie down on my bed in my bedroom, and that the cat would come upstairs, and lie down beside me, and sort of we would kind of cuddle together. So I saw this picture as clearly as possible, and then I went upstairs and I lay down on the bed, and I'm waiting, and then I sort of projected again. And I hear his little footsteps coming up the stairs. He jumps onto the bed. He gets beside me, lies down with me. And I'm thinking, man, that is great. I communicated to the cat, and he came up and did what I projected to him. And then this thought crossed my mind. Maybe he projected this picture to me. In other words, which I think is more likely the case. In other words, it didn't originate in me, and I don't think it originated in the cat, but it originated in our relationship with each other somewhere. That the idea of what caused it and what responded to it, that is the concealment. That is what I don't understand. That is what we don't get in coincidence. Why were we shown a connection that had been hidden? And why does the connection feel so utterly personal? Why does it feel so much aimed at me, my well-being? This sense that life itself, nature or whatever you want to call it, is guiding us in a certain way towards something. It's caring for us. It is communicating in some way with us. We feel that we've tapped into something greater, deeper, and we want to know, what does it mean? The real answer is that it doesn't mean anything. It's not about meaning. It's about purpose. Because it is trying to tell us, these kinds of experiences are trying to tell us what the purpose of life is, actually what the nature of life is, and that our limited experience, our limited perception of reality is really the door on which this message is knocking. It's not about the miraculousness of two seemingly disconnected things becoming connected. It's about the fact that everything is connected, but we only see those two little points. And it's shocking to us to see that, because it's so great and so beautiful and so much more than our reality. It wants us to start asking the question, what is limiting our perception so that we only see and feel this beautiful, deep purpose rarely and through a few pinholes? It's to get us to ask the question, how can we turn a pinhole into a big opening? How can we begin to live more in this place of care and love and purpose that we feel from coincidental experiences, and to begin to get us to search? The thing that is limiting our perception is the nature of what it is that we want, our desire. See, purpose in life exists between having a desire for something and its fulfillment. That is, when will I get the thing that I want? And between those two things, the desire for something and its fulfillment, that passage between them, that is what defines purpose for us. That's where all movement is. That's where we define the very meaning of our lives. So if what we desire is plum pudding, then what we are going to see will be in the tunnel vision between the desire for the plum pudding and everything that lines up with us getting that fulfilled. And in that little corridor will be all of life arranging itself. Now imagine that pinhole opens up into a broad opening. What will open it up? A desire to be connected to the whole. That desire opens up the iris of our perception. It begins to show us that everything is connected and directed by desire. And not just by our desire, but by how much our desire is linked to the desire that runs the holistic system. Because it's one in the same heart, or at least it can be. And the meaning of serendipitous events, the meaning of coincidence, is a call saying this is what you should desire. Because this is where love, care, and fulfillment, complete love, care, and fulfillment actually exists. There's a beautiful thing in the book of Zohar from the section called Parshat Amor. It says, I sleep in the exile of Egypt, and my heart is awake. Hark, my beloved knocketh. And this is what the Creator said, open for me an opening like the tip of a needle, and I will open for you the upper gates. When we sleep in Egypt, that means that we are concerned with ourselves and with material desires. It's okay, we're all like that. But that's what limits our vision and connection with the whole of a meaningful, purposeful life. But your heart is awake. So, hark, my beloved knocketh. How? He shows us, right? This nature shows us, and it says, the Creator said, open for me an opening like the tip of a needle. 2 points, 2 little points that connect to each other. If the response to that is the correct new desire to really be connected to the love that seems to be coming through that little crack, then the Creator says, I will open for you the upper gates so that your desire can grow to a place where you can connect with the entire system and all of life in an unlimited way. And that knock, that pinhole, and that opening, that is the real meaning of coincidence if we respond correctly.